Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video on the requirements for Lord Elrond. I want to talk through whether or not you should start farming elves or any characters to guess what his requirements are going to be. I've seen a lot of videos out, a lot of thumbnails on YouTube where it says start farming now, do this now. And I just want to throw out a word of caution or kind of look at the risk reward analysis, if you will, especially if you're new to this game or if you're new to these types of games. I would hate to have someone farm the wrong thing or do something in the early game of this game that impacts their experience, because we all know there is a ridiculous gold crunch right now. So a mistake like farming the wrong or multiple wrong characters could really slow you down, depending on when they adjust the kind of current gold crunch. But they've said they're going to, but we don't know when that's going to be. So anyway, I want to just talk about it for a second. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below as well, but let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, I wanted to start out first before I lose anybody and just talk about the risks of farming before something's announced. Now, if you have not been following, Arwen has been confirmed. We've seen her kit. She's going to be a marquee character released in a marquee event. And I want to talk about what that's going to look like, because maybe you've not seen that if you've not played past Capital Games games. So here's how the marquee events works in Galaxy of Heroes, the other game that they develop, and they have said that things like their raids and other features are going to be similar to this game. So they release new characters in Galaxy of Heroes. For example, we'll look at Saw Gerrera here as an example. They release him and others for a number of days here. So you click enter, you go to their event. There are no requirements typically for marquee characters. Again, this is all, I'm just giving the information, so things could change. But there's typically no requirements for a marquee character. A lot of times if you go in, they'll actually give you like mission units to play with. So you load in here, and it actually says like event unit, and they let you play with certain characters at certain gears with the character you're unlocking. So in this example, we're going to get to use a pretty geared out Saw Gerrera, so we can see how he works with the team he's meant to be played with. So they might tease and let us use Elrond in here, or just other elves, who knows. But either way, we're going to go in here and we're going to play through the first tier, and we're going to unlock 10 shards for him, which is then 10 out of 25. Great. Then we go on and we do the next one. We go to the second tier, and we'll unlock potentially 10 or 15 more, and so on and so forth. But what we unlock here is not going to be a 7-star character that's ready to go and fully usable, especially in this game with stars were a lot more crucial, so you really needed to get them done all the way. But we've already confirmed that Lord Elrond's going to require a 5-star team to unlock him. He will not be unlockable below 5 stars. So you need a 5-star team, and what I am almost willing to put money on is that they're going to allow us to unlock Arwen at 1, 2, maybe 3 stars, but a low star count. And then they're going to say, okay, if you want more Arwen shards, you have to go into the store. Lots of pop-ups in this game too. Don't worry, it's normal. And we got this bundle here for this character we just saw in the marquee event, right? And we've got this pack, which is for 1,300 gems, which is about... it's less than $20. It's like $10. So $10 worth of gems to open a pack here. We've got some drop rates. Okay, pop-ups are pulling me out of the store here, but we've got some drop rates here on the side, so you can see what your chances are to pull these different amounts. And you can pull between 500 and 330, which is 330 is the max for this game. So I think they're going to have an Arwen pack in the store at some point, and you can open them. And you're going to end up needing to open a lot of them, or at least a good amount of them, to get her to 5 stars to use her to unlock Elrond, assuming she is required for it. But I just wanted to give an example of what marquee characters and marquee events can look like in their other game, because I think it's going to be the case. And my hunch is that it's not going to matter if you pre-farm characters like elves or Road to Rivendell and you guess correctly and you get it all right. It won't matter so much if you do that. It's going to matter if you spend to unlock the marquee character, Arwen in this case, or potentially more they could unlock. They could put more in here like Elrond as another marquee. But let's say there's just one. It's going to matter if you have them ready to go at 5 stars. Not so much the elves we already have in the game. They want people to spend money because you want the new thing, which, the new thing is Arwen, but the big new thing is Elrond. So I wanted to show this really quick before we hop back over to Heroes of Middle Earth. So again, I want to talk about a quick just like risk reward of the benefit of doing this. So obviously the highest reward, the best case for anybody, is if you guess 100% correctly and you farm and level up characters that are needed for his unlock, and you level them to the just like to the minimum threshold they need to be used to unlock him. Let's say in this case it is elves first. Let's hop over to the elves. Let's say it's elves that are needed, and you farm up the right ones and have them at the right level to unlock him, and you get him, and then he's used with them. That's the best case. That is the highest reward. You guessed correctly, and you got it done as quickly as possible. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that it's not elves that's required. It could be something like, I don't know how likely this is, but if you've seen the movies, and again, they don't have movie rights, but I don't think that doesn't mean they can't know how the story went in the movies and decide to do it. In the movies, it's this kind of Road to Rivendell team that meets Arwen on the road and then goes to Rivendell and meets Elrond. So if they're playing to the audience that's probably more familiar with the movies than the books, because it happens differently in the books, if they're playing to that, part of the audience, I could easily see them saying, yeah, it's the Road to Rivendell team required at 5 stars, and Arwen's required as a marquee character with them. So if you farm the elves and it ends up being the Road to Rivendell squad, there is such a gold crunch that if you crank up this team at all before we know what it is, you're going to be stuck and out of the game because we don't have enough gold, and you're probably just not going to get Elrond the first go round. Doesn't matter how much you spend. If you farm like a completely wrong team, you're not going to get Elrond. So again, the best case is as elves are it, and you get the right ones, and you get Elrond faster. Worst case is it's a different team completely, and you end up using a lot of resources in areas that are not going to be used. Now, the downside of farming elves is not that bad, because obviously even if they're not used, assuming they're not bad elves, they'll be used with Elrond. So even if there's a variety of them that aren't used, or maybe they end up putting Elladan, so it'll be Elladan, Elrond here, and Arwen, and so there's only 2 out of these 3 that are used. I don't know, maybe you farm up 1 or 2 that aren't used. They could still potentially be used with him even if they're not used to unlock him. So I do think the elves have a pretty small downside, but again, I don't personally think there's any reason to start farming until we know for sure what it is, because I think the Road to Rivendell squad makes sense still. I know others do not. I think it could be a potential thing. It could definitely be elves. They could still surprise us with something and just require Arwen as some weird add-on. But again, I just don't think it makes sense to pre-farm and potentially slow yourself down with the game already being in such a gold crunch, when the reality is that it's not going to matter if you farm elves or farm Road to Rivendell. If you farm correctly, it won't matter. What's going to matter, in my opinion, is whether or not you buy whatever pack there is for Arwen and get her to the level she's going to need. Again, assuming she's needed, which I cannot imagine she won't be. So I just wanted to put that, PSA out there, because I've seen quite a few videos about, yes, farm this, start farming now. And I would make sure you have these nodes unlocked. I would make sure they're 3-starred and get where you need to be. But I don't think the deal breaker is going to be, oh my gosh, I didn't get my Naramiri to whatever stars. You can work on that during the event. You can do that. The difference is going to be whether or not you spend to get Arwen, because Elrond will be here for a week. So you'll have a whole week even while he's here to go, crap, okay, I got to get 1 more star on this chick. Let me use some gems. Let's refresh it a bit. Let's get it done. Whatever, right? We can do that. If you don't spend your gems to buy chests to get Arwen ready, you're not going to get it. I think that's going to be the big factor. So I just want to put that out there. Hopefully that makes sense. Kind of rambled a bit there, but I'm just trying to put a little bit of a PSA out there for those that are new to this game or these types of games. They're trying to make money. I get it. I'm okay with the reality of it, but I just want to make everyone aware of how I think it's going to work, and just be careful with how early we are in this game and how much of a freaking gold crunch there is. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree? Are you just throwing caution to the wind and going for the elves and just at least choosing to use them with Elrond when you have him? Are you waiting for requirements? Again, I'm going to personally make sure every mission is 3-star that I can. And if I am at a stopping point with everything else, I'm going to pre-farm some common gear that is used to gear up characters, like the really valuable gear we need at the higher gear levels. That's what I'm going to do. But let me know what you're going to do down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in a future video.